Alrighty, guys.
Fancy videos. Sorry, I was gonna say they can fake fancy videos, but when it says recording in progress, it's like a robot from 10 years ago still.
Yeah, Zoom hasn't quite got up to some more fun AI stuff yet. All right, guys, thanks everyone that's coming on and joining us live. We really appreciate you joining for this very exciting webinar. So join Amit from Proboxx and our guest speakers, Chad Rubin, John Tilley, Yulia Blanova, as deep into these new fees on Amazon and their impact and Amazon's growing monopoly. And how can we still make profit on Amazon in 2024? Just excuse me while I keep adding these guys in. Thanks everyone for joining. Just housekeeping, mute your audio as you join and jump into the chat box if you have any questions as we go along. This is a really kind of fun and formal discussion with everyone having their input. So please feel free to comment and ask questions. So today we're going to cover the new fees and their impact, product optimization, freight optimization, PPC and listing optimization, systematizing, and Amazon's growing monopoly, which is a hot topic everyone wants to talk about. So before I get in though, I just want to give a very warm welcome to our special guest who we're super excited to have here today. So first up, we've got Chad. Chad Rubin is the boss of Prophecy. He oversees operations and strategy. He's a world stage speaker at various conferences on e-commerce, Amazon, and is a best-selling author. He's also a father, loves coffee and tacos. I'm guessing not all at the same time. Welcome, Chad.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us.
I do like a good breakfast taco and coffee at the same time, for sure.
That is true. Breakfast taco and coffee go really well together. Awesome. So thanks, Chad. And John Tilley is the CEO of Zonguru. He loves helping brands and agencies scale Amazon through sales, data, insights, and automation. Welcome, John. Thanks for joining.
Yo, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me, at least. Yeah, I'm over here in Los Angeles, so I know everyone's all around the world today, but it's relatively early on this side, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining, John. Yeah, it's definitely a global family today. And next up, we've got Yulia. Yulia is the founder of Signify Global Product Sourcing. She's the co-founder of 2 Amazon brands. She has 18 years experience in global product sourcing, supply chain logistics, and import, export, and e-commerce fields. What a super brain. Thanks for joining, Yulia.
You're very welcome. And next time I'm going to include something in a variety of tacos and coffee as well. That one seems to go through very well.
Yeah, next time we'll talk about our favorite breakfast meals. I think that would be fun. Okay, so then last we have, of course, Amit, who's the CEO of Proboxx. He's a seasoned logistics professional. He's got 15 years experience in global supply chains, specializing in e-commerce, and his expertise spans transportation, warehousing, and last mile delivery. Welcome, Amit. Thanks for joining us. Hang on, we can't hear you. Wait one sec. Can you unmute?
The 15 years of experience in logistics.
Most likely, yeah. Anyway, thank you for everybody that joined the webinar.
Thanks, guys. And I'm your host, Amanda, and let's dive in because we've got some burning questions and topics today. We've only got an hour, so let's jump right in. Okay, number one, the new fees and their impact. So I'm going to start this question with Chad, but I want everyone else to jump in as well because everyone's got their thoughts on this one. So this really important discussion on these new fees and how they're affecting every aspect of an Amazon seller's business. Chad, so what are your thoughts and observations on how sellers are managing them, and what are your best tips and strategies on how to navigate these new fees and minimize the impact?
Yeah, first of all, I think they suck. I think that's the honest truth, that all sellers are feeling the pain right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that all sellers around the world are realizing that profit is the heartbeat of your company. And if that's the case, like, how do you optimize everything in your business around profit? It's not the one thing, it's really the only thing that matters. It's how companies are valued in the Amazon space, just based on EBITDA, like my hat. So My thoughts are like, I think that sellers need to get smarter. Just like sellers have had to pivot from being sellers to being advertisers. This is another transition, or else they're going to go broke. And really, I think that there's a deep focus, at least from me, I have an e-commerce business on top of running a pricing software business. I have a deep focus in my e-com business really across logistics, so inventory placement and logistics, across our pricing, across like how we spend for PPC and what metrics we worship internally as a business. And then most importantly, the kind of talent that we have internally at the company. So I know it's a broad answer and we can go super deep for an hour in that specifically, but that's what I'm optimizing right now in the business so that we can actually increase our EBITDA.
So it's kind of looking at all those areas as like going really deep and micro niching into how to do profit in all those areas.
Totally, and it's kind of like a typewriter, an old school typewriter. I'm probably like dating myself, but like I go into those buckets and then I rinse, wash, and repeat, right? I constantly am cycling back into those areas, into those buckets, optimizing them, improving them, moving on, and then going back into them as they crumble.
So, and then how often are you looking at it every day, every week? What sort of?
Well, I mean, I have a good team in place, so I think I focused on. I mean, I turned around my business, right? So we were at a very low operating profit. After I sold my previous company, I came back in and started working on that business. I started with the people first, and really started getting high quality talent, making sure that these people can critically think for themselves. And then I moved into the assets that we have, which is like shaking what our mama gave us. So optimizing around inventory, making sure that we're selling our highest margin items, that we never run out of stock of those items. Then I moved into making sure that our pricing is optimized, which is how I came across Prophecy. Then I started working on our PPC and really moved away from a lot of the bullshit that's spewed in the space around what metrics like ACost or ROAS. We really focus on profit metrics internally as a business, and we've really moved away from any revenue embedded metric towards profit, and we incentivize our team around profit. And then, of course, logistics, which Amit can talk more about how to optimize for that. And those are the big levers in the business that you can pull that all flow down to the bottom line.
Awesome. Anyone else want to share some sort of observations you're seeing right now and what's shifting for sellers and how they're optimizing?
Yeah, I would add to that. I mean, exactly what Chad is saying there, but it's it's that age-old saying, it's not about turnover, it's about leftover. And you really need to focus on that. And with the fees and what's happening, I think everyone has been in this industry for a long time. There's been shakeups, over many years, and certainly this fees squeeze from Amazon is a shakeup, but therein also lies a lot of opportunity, right? And so the more as a business owner, you're more systemized, you're focusing on the right things like profits, the more of a moat you have, right? And I would just say the general feeling I get from speaking to customers is everyone has to be a lot more on top of their game, understanding, what are the legitimate ways of growing the business. But, with the squeeze, people start to lean more into kind of the black hat opportunities and understanding what those are, and how to navigate away from those, and just understanding what's happening in the marketplace is critical, right? So, these are, I guess the main point there is like, if you dialed in, you're on top of your game, you have a moat that's been created because you are one of the few that's going to rise to the top, and a lot of people are going to fail in the process.
Look, I just came back from 2 conferences. One was in Tallinn in Estonia, and another one was in Warsaw in Poland. In this conference, there were 6, 7, 8, and 9-figure sellers from all over the world, all religions, all nations, etc., etc. One of the first things is they really understand if they're actually making money and they have margins. A lot of people, a lot of Amazon, or it doesn't, if you sell on e-commerce, you as an e-commerce seller, you talk to people and they have, oh, I have made 20 million last year. I'm like, no. What was your margin? How much you've actually made? So a lot of people, they don't know how to calculate. what to take out, what to put in, and how much money do they actually have left over. So those who've been selling for many years, they do know this. That's the first thing. And the second thing is diversification. One of the guys, he was one of the speakers on the panel. He is actually from Lithuania. He has his own little factory. He used to be being the operative word, a 7-figure salary in US. And his partner got in trouble legally. So Amazon banned both of them. They closed the account. That's it. They destroyed all of their inventory. And now the guy can't open Amazon at all anymore, even though he didn't do anything illegal, but his partner did. So in the last 6 months, he managed to launch on Etsy, Shopify, etc., etc. And by the end of the year, they're going to get to 7 figures. But diversification right now is extremely important. A lot of Amazon sellers, I live in Germany, right? I know a lot of German sellers. They're all terrified of going outside of their comfort zone where they're making crap load of money, but they're afraid of going somewhere else. One little mistake somewhere or somebody says something bad, that's it. You're going to lose everything. What are you going to do? So for me, it's diversification. Our brands, we sell on Amazon, we sell in retail, we sell on Shopify. So if one channel is closed, others are bringing you something in.
Yeah, it's a totally great point, Yulia. I think that's something that a lot of people are looking into is other platforms and retail. It seems to be a lot simpler than Amazon is becoming at the moment.
Did you see the news 2 days ago? Was it yesterday? The day before yesterday, TikTok shop, right? They're selling, people sell for millions, blah, blah, all of that. But it was the first time they hit 1 million by one in live sessions. So she's speaking live and she's selling. I think it was 3 products in 6 hours. They made 1 million.
Wow.
And the way you work with the affiliates in US in TikTok shop is a lot easier. You know, Shein is launching a very similar platform like Amazon into US and Canada right now. Tons of opportunities. Yeah, I would go to TikTok.
Yeah, this live shopping is definitely a platform as well that seems to be really successful. If someone is someone please mute.
Kathy?
Kathy, could you please mute?
Amanda,
Yeah.
you should be able to also mute people from your
Yeah,
side too.
I just found her. She's muted. Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, lots to talk about. So let's just dive in a little bit further, Yulia, with product optimization, because this is something you would probably know a lot about, you being an expert at sourcing and working closely with manufacturers and clients. What are some of the best ways that sellers can look at reducing their costs by looking at their parameters for sourcing and manufacturing? And what are you observing sellers making changes with their products to save on costs? Because I know that's another big area we could look into to just trim down the fat.
Well, one of the first things we always suggest to people is shop around. Shop around in terms of find other manufacturers, get samples from them, make sure the samples are as good as the product that you already sell. Go with those samples to your existing manufacturer and get the price down. Just a few months ago, me and Amit, we were in Guangzhou doing the Canton Fair sourcing trip, and one of our customers was there. And his product, we managed to get the price from $6 to $3.50. He buys 200,000 pieces per year, just for this one SKU, for this one color. He has other colors. And the only way we've managed to do this, and it had nothing to do with the quantities even, is because we reached out to some other manufacturers. We've done the samples and we came to his existing manufacturer with the new samples. They could, because how do the Chinese usually say, oh, but our quality is better. That's why we have a higher price, right? I've been hearing this since like the mid to like 2005, 2006. So that's a really good thing. There's another brand we work with. It's for example, it's a jewelry brand. They sell on Shopify. It's a guy from Norway. He sells jewelry, and with the same technique, on one of his orders, we managed to negotiate down from 240,000 to 190,000 on his upcoming order. That's also good savings, right? One of the important things is I always suggest to people is to look at the BOM, the bill of material, is to try and communicate with your manufacturer. And if you're working, and it doesn't matter if you're working with a manufacturer in China or you're working with a manufacturer somewhere abroad, whether it's Germany, US, Mexico, it doesn't matter. You need what the words that, Amanda, what are the words you think that manufacturer wants to hear out of your mouth?
A massive order.
That's a given. No, they want to hear you say, I want you to make money. I want you to make more money. This simple little phrase we use all the time when we try to do negotiations, and all the people on the other side, they're like, oh my, they don't just want to get the price down, they want us to make money. So when we negotiate with the manufacturers, we always make sure to say that, guys, of course we want better pricing because we want higher margin, but and this is true for me, I don't want you to lose money, I don't want you to lose a margin. So let's look at the bill of material together. Let's figure out the processes and see where we can save money and not sacrifice our margins. One of the very important things to look at when you're producing something is how labor intensive is your product. The less labor intensive is your product, meaning more machinery is being used, the further you can stretch the economies of scale. Laundry sheets, like this very, very thin sheets that you put in a washing machine, you can produce them in China for very cheap. We are producing them for exactly the same price in Sweden, for exactly the same price, with exactly the same quantities, selling in US, a smaller shipping fee, smaller import tax, actually it's zero from Sweden for that product to US, whereas from China, it's the Trump tax, right? And nobody thinks, oh, Sweden, really? Same price as China? Yes, because there are no humans in the production line, pretty much. It's all machine. So the more machine intensive the product is, the easier it will be for you to switch it to another country or to try and negotiate the cost and see where you can save. You need to stop me. I can talk for a very long time.
Yeah. So Yulia, what I'm hearing you say is it's best to negotiate and do it in person if you can to get these prices down with your manufacturer, and look at other markets for sourcing and potentially seeing how you can save that way.
Yes, but negotiations, it doesn't mean you always need to go to China, to Germany, or wherever you're producing, but at least show your face, right? This is not Tinder or whatever other dating apps there are. You're trying to create a relationship. You're trying to create partnership, something long-term. In order to do this, you need to invest sometimes some money and buy some presents. Like our factories in Germany, they send us expensive presents and we send presents to them for Christmas, the same to China. So yes, invest in pretty things from your country.
Awesome. Thanks, Yulia. Great tips. And thanks to everyone that's just still joining us as well. If you guys have got any questions to the speakers, please just pop them in the chat and I can read them out as we go. I want to talk about freight optimization because this is a big part of it as well, Amit. And what are the common things that you're seeing that now coming through from sellers and the biggest shifts in how they're handling their supply chain? And what are your best tips for optimizing freight for reduced costs?
Right, so that's a big one. The main point, of course, is the inbound placement fee that was implemented on February 1st, 2024. That's basically shake the industry in terms of like how freight forwarding even consider, because it used to be so you send the rate request to a freight forwarder or whatever it is, the number, and that's it. But now it's become much more complex because Amazon allow you basically to rather send it to like 5 locations without inbound placement fee, or to 3, or to 1 location with higher fees. So for us, for example, as a freight forwarding company, we used to get like 1 quote for 1 batch, but now we're getting between 5 to 9 quotes for any batch. So the first thing I would say that make us work, meaning don't think like try to optimize your cost with your freight forwarder. So in sense of maybe will be better in one case to ship it to 5 locations and pay without any inbound fee. Maybe in a different case would be better to ship it to 3 locations and add the inbound fee. So I had like numerous occasions so that for one batch, eventually the customer decided to send it to 1 location instead of 5 because the inbound placement fee was lower compared to the overall freight rate that was added to the freight cost in general because splitting to multiple locations. So that's the biggest thing in my opinion. Making an exam for every batch rather to ship it to 5, 3, or 1 location. Amazon also will allow you guys to try to optimize the location rather to the East Coast, to Central America, or to the West Coast. I would say in general that to the West Coast, the transit time is significantly shorter compared to the East Coast. And also the rates are relatively about 30% lower compared to the East Coast. So the transit time is a big effect just because of the cash flow. So if you have a batch and you want to start selling this and it's going to the West Coast by, let's say, by 30 days, compared to the East Coast when it takes like about 60 days. So when including the inbound process and when you start basically selling the product on Amazon, so you're gonna have much better cash flow if you're gonna ship to the West Coast compared to the East. So there is a lot of multiple factors that need to be addressed here. But I would say the number one priority is to check with your forwarder what's going to be the optimized plan for a specific batch when you're basically creating the shipping plan and planning to ship it out.
Yeah, and this shipping to multiple locations can take a long time for Amazon to actually get it checked in, so that, you know, that's also something to factor in, like what's you know, how soon do you need it there, and then yeah, how do you get it in and minimize your fees?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, eventually, like as a freight forwarder, my goal to all our clients is to keep you guys in stock, right? So having this open conversation with a freight forwarder, what's going to be the transit time, what's going to be the optimal plan is mandatory or is the key, in my opinion, to make sure you optimize your shipping cost, just in sense of like, okay, maybe in this case, you know, will be better to ship to 5 locations just to minimize the risk for, I don't know, custom inspection or whatever it is. Maybe in a different situation would be sending to 1 location, ship it to the West Coast by express shipping because you're low in inventory. So again, every situation is different, but having like an open conversation with your freight forwarder is the key for success, in my opinion.
Yeah, awesome tips. And PPC and listing optimization, John, I know this is kind of your specialty. Do you want to share some insights with us on how your you know, what your strategies are or what your advice would be to help sellers, what they should be looking at and what they could be changing to help optimize in all of those areas to help improve in profits?
Yeah, I would say, you know, listing optimization is there's still massive opportunity there, and a lot of changes happening, you know, on that side, and with change there's opportunity as well, right? So, you know, I can talk a lot about the various aspects of a listing that need to be optimized, but I think one of the bigger questions is around how is AI impacting, you know, your visibility as a listing? How should you optimize for AI? What's happening on Amazon's algorithm and how is that changing? You know, one of the short answers is we you know, a lot of that is still black box, and you've got to, you know, be very close to that to really understand how things are changing and test a lot. I would say one interesting strategy that have developed now internally, it's not a production ready tool yet, but to give you guys some insight of how the space is moving, we now have an internal tool that basically will analyze, you know, how Rufus, which is obviously Amazon's AI assistant on the consumer side, how is Rufus reading your listing and how are they generating the questions out of your listing, right? When you're asking around a category, around your listing. How is Rufus responding, and where are the gaps? And it's pretty interesting to understand, you know, how does it actually read images? What is the content in your images? How does it actually translate that into its information for answering questions? What does it do with your content? So that's been a really interesting area for us to probe, and it's pretty interesting to see the gaps in where your listing can be optimized and your imagery can be optimized specifically for the content in your images, that helps to prompt Rufus and the AI. So that is obviously a lot of input that goes into algorithmically how you would also be visible to and get organic rank. So there's a lot that you need to do around your listing for sure. Everything from how you input keywords. There's always questions around, is it lexical versus semantic on keywords? It's definitely much more semantic now, but you still have to guide the AI. So keyword optimization in your listings is still really important. Images for sure. Outside of your listing, still with your listing, your variation architecture, I think is important, and understanding where your product is in its business life cycle. And if you're early on, how do you structure your variations to be more competitive to the customer eye and to the algorithm? And there's certain tricks around that area. I would say a lot of brands that are, have kind of scaled to like the 2 million, 3 million mark on Amazon, and they're trying to scale further. What's holding them back is not having a very strong outside traffic strategy. We certainly see outside traffic is on the affiliate side. Yulia mentioned TikTok. I think having that kind of presence there, but even affiliate outside traffic going to a PDP when you're starting to get to that level is important, and helps you break through to the next level. And also, is a differentiation tactic. So I think that's if you're not playing in that space, I think that is an important piece to do as well. And that just helps with search volume, conversion, etc. And then I would say the last thing I want to say on that is, and this relates to PPC as well, but if you're looking for overall profitable growth, you need to be proficient with the levers that you have available to you on Amazon. So that's pricing, promotion, PPC, SEO. Those are, you have to be very good with all of those. But where we see the biggest opportunity for long-term profitable growth is when you have a strategy around how do you use those things all together with the lens of how do I grow myself on organic rank, and make sure that the sales that I'm getting are organic sales versus PPC sales, etc., because that's obviously where your most profitable sale is. And when you can put those all together and say, hey, how do I use these together to get better organic rank, and include obviously the outside traffic, that's where we start to see some real lift for our clients over the long term, and getting the more profitable sales, which is important. So I'll stop there.
Awesome. What can you share, John? Is there some common themes that you're seeing through this new tool that you're using coming through with, like, what Rufus is looking at in terms of, the images and the listing for the prompts? Like, is there some sort of consistent theme, or is it different for every kind of niche and listing?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing from that is, the structure of your images, and what's, obviously your main image is a job of getting the clicks, but the structure of what you do in your second, third, fourth, fifth, up to 7 or 9 or whatever it is, images, the video, and the premium A+ content, all of that is important. And what Rufus is seeing on listings that don't have that is a lot less than those that do, right? So I think the short answer is there is making sure that you as a seller understand how you should templatize and structure your images 1 through 7 or 9. And then if you don't have EBC, and you don't have premium A+ content, those are things that you're looking at getting and you're adding, because that kind of informational hub is important to Rufus and how it's reading your content.
Yeah, interesting. And then also the actual listing itself, not so much keyword stuffing anymore, but it's more speaking to to AI or speaking to the customer, which is kind of working better for Rufus?
I mean, what's working better for the algorithm is you have to obviously have a good baseline of understanding what the keywords are that customers are actually searching for your product in your localized marketplace versus obviously just reverse ASINing. The traditional tools just reverse ASIN a lot of your competitors' listings. Our keyword tool, Keywords on Fire, doesn't do that as a focus. We're looking for the actual keywords that customers are typing into the marketplace. So you have to have that as a baseline, but then how you use that, whether you prompt AI as your baseline, which I would recommend, because it's very easy in theory to say, hey, write a listing that sounds professional, that is, aligned with what the algorithm is looking for, but it's hard to actually write that. So if you can have AI with a specific prompt that goes like, hey, here's all the content, but write the baseline listing that is structured in the right way for AI, and then use that as a baseline to finesse it for my brand tone and everything else, like that's what you need. And so that's what our listing tool does, is it structures it in the right way, in under a minute. So, you have to have the right structure, and at a high level, at this stage is writing a professional listings that you can broad match for, a lot of your main keywords in your title, followed by back-end search terms and your bullets, right? And so you see a big difference between, you could have like 30, 40, 50 keywords, and you can actually broad match for a lot of those and still make a lot of sense in your listing. But it's quite hard to do. So if AI can just do that for you as a baseline, you're already a couple steps ahead, and that's what we try and do.
Yeah, awesome. What do you think about Amazon Live and Amazon Post? I mean, should everyone be including these sorts of strategies as well, and with the external advertising? And does that help kind of with like the halo effect, or does it help with the AI to just be looking at all these different ways of being able to provide content for your listing and promoting and creating brand awareness and sales, of course?
Yeah, I mean, my short answer on that mostly is like, whenever Amazon has new initiatives or parts of it, you should participate, right? Obviously, as long as it makes sense from a profitability perspective, participate, because the more you use their products, the more juice they're going to be giving you in every way, shape, and form, right? So Amazon Post for sure. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to that just from connecting with customers. Amazon Live may be a little different because that could also be somewhat of a distraction from your core focus. But if you have the expertise and the ability, for sure. But I would say generally, the affiliate side, content generators, the affiliate side on videos, using all of those types of services to get more content and brand awareness and the halo effect around your product is really important. We see it, massively with even TikTok, the brands that have had some virality on there, which you have to know what kind of partners to use on that side. But if you can get some of that virality, even just the halo effect from that, people will go on TikTok, they'll see a product, and then they'll go on Amazon and see if they can get it faster and quicker. So there's a big halo effect that comes from the content creation and affiliate side on that side as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, John. And I'm going to throw this one out there as well. Oh, before I do, Yulia just posted to everyone, what do you think about launching and testing listings with Vine before launching the actual ones to collect and later
To
move?
clarify, because I heard this from Matt Altman, I heard this from tons of guys. So they're launching the listings, right? They collect the reviews and all of that. If there needs to be tweaking, there is. If it's all okay, then they kind of put them as real listings, and you can launch a few at the same time and then merge and kind of redistribute the reviews if necessary. Do you guys do this?
Yeah, we do. I mean, I can answer that, but on our side, yes, we do that. We it depends where the business is in the life cycle. We do split them out, get all the Vine reviews, bring them together, and certainly even multi-stack new products with current better performing listings to give you your PDP for the new product. Obviously, a lot more better ratings and reviews, which is important. So and then understanding how that might cannibalize your overall, better selling products, and when you need to split that out is important as well.
So that is the suggestion for like it works. Not a lot of people actually know about this because we had like 200 people sitting in the audience, and even the bigger sale was like, "What? You can do that? Oh wow!" And Matt
I
was
think,
talking. Sorry, go
yeah, I
ahead.
was gonna say, I think doing those tactics are interesting. There are loopholes that over time close up. There's sort of these short-term things that you can do. For example, like you mentioned with Vine, splitting them, merging back in, and finding like a kit, adding that on so it becomes an upsell. Like over time, those things go away, right? And so
Yeah,
at
but
the end
for
of the
now,
day,
everything it's
for sure,
legal. It's not against any rule
sure.
or anything, and that's the point.
Yeah, of course. But like to me, I think at least in my own business personally, running ecom business for 20 years, I have a deep focus on sustainability, right? I care about profitability. And to me, I like to focus just on the basics, right? The basics of like what brought me to the dance in the first place. So like I mentioned earlier, the people, how we're spending for PPC, isolating our contribution profit from PPC so that guys are spend specifically around Amazon's advertising, pricing, right? Inventory and logistics, like those are levers. Those are things you have to like roll up your sleeves for, and there's no shortcuts around it. And then just like I think the second piece I just wanted to share is I've been kind of holding back a little bit, letting everyone speak, is around TikTok, right? I think like only the 0.0001% of Amazon sellers are going to be able to survive on TikTok. That's my opinion, right? I don't think like TikTok is a golden ticket. Sure, I think experimentation is super important in e-commerce, but I also think that everyone that's fighting over trying to figure out TikTok, they're going to bleed time and they're going to bleed money on influencers and agencies and strategy and shipping infrastructure without any promises. So for me personally, with my own e-com business, I'm just like doubling down on Amazon. In fact, while everyone's so focused on going off channel and trying to figure those things out, I'm actually doubling down and taking a lot of share on Amazon.
Why? May I ask why? Why you
Why
against it, basically?
I'm
Yeah.
no, I'm not against TikTok. I just think that like I think there's a fine line between like what's going to work and what's selling the dream, right? So like not every brand on Amazon is a real brand, right? Not everyone can just go off on Amazon and create virality and have an it factor. The same thing for like if you're going off to Hollywood and you want to become an actor, right? Only like 0.0001% of those people are going to succeed. So to me, I like to roll up my sleeves and focus on like what got me here. And like, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, fees suck, but you have to learn how to sell smarter. And sure, I think trying and testing is important, but like not essentially deviating from your strategy of like what got you to where you are in the first place. And part of my strategy, right, is algorithms, right? Is like machines that are working more efficiently, right? And so that could be creating better listings, like John's point, could be essentially using PPC for price and for inventory. Like that's where I'm spending most of my time to stay sharp.
Yeah, I'll just add to Chad's point. I mean, what he's saying is so critical, and it's also, as even owners in the technology side, it's what we call like shiny object syndrome, right? Is like there's always going to be these new shiny objects and ideas, but as a business owner, you truly have to understand like, hey, there's an opportunity cost with focusing on outside of what we're focusing on right now. Have I truly tapped everything in that area before I focus on other channels or other ideas? Because there's an opportunity cost, a distraction from your core business, right? And we've all done that and sometimes failed, and it can impact some of your channels that you're still focused on. So you have to absolutely assess that in making those decisions. I think, with everything that we do in our space, we clearly have to make sure the basics are done correctly first, with that idea of long-term sustainability, which Chad talked about. You have to have that nailed in. And if you have all of those things in place and everything, and you have the team and the budget and the headspace or whatever, then you can layer on those other areas and test. But certainly, long-term goal is important, but sometimes even some of the short-term hacks or with the things that Yulia brought up, if that gets you in the game, you need to get in the game, and then obviously you have your long-term strategy. So, everything Chad has mentioned there is really critical. Like the shiny objects are always there, and sometimes you're more successful by not doing them than doing them, and that's an important point.
Yeah, awesome. And Chad, do you feel like TikTok is kind of product specific? Like you think that the platform itself lends it to certain types of products that would do better than others?
Yeah, I think it's about virality, right? So if I sell vacuum filters online or coffee filters, typically that's not going to be a strategy that works very well. I'll share one example of someone who did very well. Someone on Amazon, they sell a tongue scraper, right? And so he scraped tongues and he showed like all this bacteria and all this like nasty stuff on this tongue scraper, and like that went viral on TikTok. So I think it just depends on the category. It also depends on your video. There's this new software that I just recently found that sort of kind of gives you an idea around like the virality. It's called Shop Plus. I thought that was an interesting software. It shows you what's like the highest ranked product being sold on TikTok Shop. But again, I'm not a fan of just like buying into this dream that like everyone should be on TikTok and like that's where everyone should be spending their time. I'm actually okay with it. If all my competitors are spending their time there, I can double down on like the most important stuff that's making me the most amount of money and have more of a competitive advantage and have less stress in my life. And that's a big focus for me.
Yeah, it's a fine balance, isn't it?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about systematizing, because this I want to throw out to all of you guys, because I'm sure you've all got something to share on how sellers can optimize their ops and reduce their costs through running systems. What tools and software is available to sellers to help them do that so they can achieve maximum growth, get that transparency, better visibility, better profits. Anyone?
With anyone in particular, or just gonna go ahead and
All
shoot?
of you. I'll go for it.
Well, I'll speak for sourcing first. Honestly, you got some tools, you got some softwares, but most of them are extremely expensive. So unless you're a larger company, just try to organize yourself well. I think it's important to have SOPs. For example, when you are placing an order, when you are doing sourcing, when you're doing initial research, etc., etc. I like, for example, for organizing the teams, managing teams, and even managing customers and brands, ClickUp, right? So in Click, we used to be on Asana. Some people like it. We transferred from Asana about 3 years to ClickUp. I love it. There are tons of other tools, Monday.com and whatnot. But you need to be structured. You need to be organized. So we have, for example, if we're launching a new product, right? We already know all of the SOPs on what needs to be done. What needs to be done in sourcing with all the subtasks, what needs to be done in marketing, what needs to be done, the packaging, etc., photos, So a lot of people, and this is not laziness, this is just, sometimes you have the smallest thing that you need to do, the easiest thing in the world, and you can't do it because you just don't want to. I don't want to, right? For example, I need to send the letter. I need to walk 100 meters to send this letter. I don't want to. Leave me alone. And sometimes it's the same thing with doing the SOPs, right? Usually when people start working, they kind of get into this. You do this once, it's set up for you. For sourcing in general, there are tons of different platforms. A lot of people are trying to use AI right now and try to extract the data from ChatGPT or something like this. But we need to remember, ChatGPT basically aggregates the data that is already on the internet. And a lot of websites, if you try to do product sourcing in Japan, you will get the data that is like 20 years old, basically, because most of the factories don't even have website, right? So you need to still be a little bit more human for maybe the next like 5 or 10 years when it comes to sourcing, at least, right? Because different countries are at different levels of development. You come to Germany and also the same thing. Most of the websites from the factories, they look like they're from 1991, right? And nobody checks the email that's there on the website and it hasn't been functioning or anything like this. So for me, organizing, writing SOPs, you've done it once, you teach your people, you delegate to them if you already have a team. And it helps a lot when you know what the next steps are to put out the fires in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Yulia. What about Chad? Tips on systematizing?
Systematizing. Well, I've always run two businesses in parallel. And so right now I have my e-commerce business and I have Prophecy. And I mean, there's so many things I can go into in terms of detail. One thing that we do internally is we use EOS, which is a structure around running the business. And we use what we call L10, level 10 meetings that allow us to bring things out into the open and bring out bad things quick so we can solve them. So this is a big part of how I essentially only attend one call a week for an hour and a half where I solve the hairiest, worst problems at the company and try to unblock people. I can go into a lot more detail around this, but like that's something in terms of other systems, we use Notion. It's very similar to ClickUp. I like it better. Just for me personally, it's like a wiki. I focus on hiring really good people internally. So I give everyone a critical thinking test and an assessment test before they join to help test for those critical thinking skills. Like I mentioned, everything internally is revolving around profit. So every incentive structure around people goes back to profit. Every PPC metric that we manage to goes back to profit. Pricing, we set up strategies that all go back to profit without sacrificing our ranking position. So we're Uber style surge pricing throughout the week to help ourselves make more money. And so we've seen a massive increase of our net operating profit by focusing on these silos of the business. So people, product with logistics and inventory, process with our L10 meetings and critical thinking, getting the right butts in the right seats, with price and PPC. Can't forget those things because like PPC is 50% of your revenue on Amazon, which means it's probably roughly about 50% of your profits. And then price, of course, is the biggest lever you can be pulling that all drop to the bottom line.
Yeah, great tips. John? Zonguru.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, Chad and I know each other well, but we have similar, ways of structuring our teams. We have some differences. I mean, we definitely use Notion. We use the OKR system, which is, similar type of variation to EOS. At the end, I think that the lessons I learned from that is like as an owner, you have to focus on, it's kind of like your PDP page, right? If you have a shit PDP page, everything else you do is going to not be as important, right? And so I think at the end of the day, you can have your systems and everything, but you have to hire the right people first, and so that kind of value set that you're looking for, ours is curiosity, and making sure that you have the right type of people. If you have that right, everything else is a good layer on top of it, and you'll be good. So people is important, system is important. I think as a business owner, how you give people focus within that system is critical. Chad's got profit. We have our specific metrics, but the making sure that the system can have that canary in a coal mine effect, right? Where you can very quickly, with data, ascertain whether something's working or not. And if it isn't working, catch that early and kill it quickly is critical, because that's how you evolve and create a growth culture, and you can continue to grow. So those are very important aspects within our systems that we create.
Yeah, awesome. So it's really important for sellers to have some sort of system or software that they can clearly see, the profit or loss.
Yeah,
sales,
exactly. And I guess
quickly.
another point there is we obviously have a bunch of tools that people can use, but systematizing that and how you use it in the right orders to get the results is obviously a critical piece, right?
Yeah, awesome. I've just got a question from Voriel. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What are the thoughts do you have about Walmart expanding there as an additional selling channel compared to other channels? Thanks. Does anyone have any thoughts on Walmart?
Yeah, I can say that many
Go ahead, Amit.
Yeah, I will make it short. And just saying that I see a big shifting of our clients selling also on Walmart, and so roughly I would say like a year ago there was like, I don't know, relatively maybe less than 1%. Now it's about like 10%, so it's growing. I cannot say from the point of view of a seller, but I'm just saying from a point of view of like a freight forwarding, I see a grow into Walmart and other marketplaces for sure.
Chad, Yulia, John, anyone got any? Anyone got any?
Yeah,
People like to sell on Walmart. More people are moving in there. I personally don't particularly like it, but it doesn't mean it's bad. Again, everybody has their preferences. And as Chad was saying, it's like some people like TikToks, some people hate Amazon. I have some customers who sell for like their 8 figures, right? They do not sell on Amazon, and they sell, we will never go on Amazon. We have our website, we're in retail. That's the only freaking thing we're gonna do. So, can you sell on Walmart? Yes. Is that a good opportunity? Yes. Depends on the product, right?
Brian
You
just commented
gotta look at the product.
the seller support on Walmart sucks. So if it's worse than Amazon seller central support, then that's a problem.
I was gonna say, can you show me one support anywhere that does not suck in those bigger systems and things like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think just one small thing to add about Walmart that I think is interesting is that they bid often for front of page Google for top of search. Of course, now I think Shein and Temu are also competitively bidding in those spots. Of course, US sellers can't sell on those platforms, which is so interesting. But I think it's worth just like testing to see how Walmart activates top of search on Google for you. And of course, without bidding for it, I think there could be an interesting opportunity. It's all about what product you have, what your strategy is, and where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys, we've got 10 minutes left, and I really want to get a couple of more questions in. The last one for me, and I'm sure everyone's talking about this, is the growing monopoly of Amazon. Obviously it's clear that they're pushing everyone into using AWD and AGL. So what are your thoughts on that? And, is it going to be the downfall of like independents, 3PLs and freight forwarders? I mean, what are the pros and cons? I mean, have you guys had any experience with AWD and AGL? And yeah, I just want to know what you think about where it's heading.
It's a big one. I would say that, yeah, like Amazon aggressively promote like AGL combining with AWD together, because they basically, if you ship with AGL, so you're gonna get like a big discount on AWD as well. And like all this inbound placement fee, basically the idea is to shift, instead of shipping or directly to FBA, basically to ship it to AWD, and there make it like a long storage warehouse and then send it to FBA with shorter, like with lower quantity for shorter period of time. Is it the downfall of the freight forwarding and the 3PL? It's hard to tell. There is a big difference now because AGL and AWD is still working under the same like Amazon support, which is like ridiculous, as everyone said it just now. So to me, as a freight forwarding company owner, having like somebody that can provide you with data support is critical, especially in this type of segment, such as freight forwarding and 3PL. So I'm not sure it's the downfall of freight forwarding and 3PL, but it's definitely impact us quite strongly. But I would say that like everything in life, when you have a big competition, you need to address it and you need to become better. And that's what we do. We're trying to find like other solution, other services that can basically consolidate and contribute to a seller together.
Yeah, the innovation is born a lot in the time of crisis, right? When there's something like really bad happening and you need to adapt, you need to adjust. Maybe you need to completely redo your strategy. Maybe you need to start offering different services. We have some people who did use Amazon Global Logistics. Most of the people were not happy because the price is cheap, delivery never on time. Our experience only. Maybe there are some people who were very happy with this. We see 3PLs popping up more and more across the globe. a lot of people are starting to sell through various platforms other than Amazon, TikTok, Shein, Temu, etc. And they prefer to keep the stock at 3PL because sometimes even with Amazon, right? We have some products, most of the products are FBA, but some of the products we have FBM for certain reasons, heavier, bigger, blah, 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 and all of those things. And that's okay. We keep it at the 3PL. And I know tons of businesses who split the stuff. So honestly, with the increase in my opinion, with the increase of e-commerce, the 3PLs are just growing in number. There are many of them who offer wonderful services, a lot of them who offer crappy services, but it's okay because the vouchers come when the businesses are growing, right? You just need to select the right people in there. So you gotta listen, you gotta see who recommends who, etc. But from what we're seeing, 3PLs, they will be an even more important role in the upcoming years for businesses, for small businesses, medium, huge international corporations, for everybody, right? That's what we see.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's good to see that it's not all going to be a mass exit to AGL and AWD. And I think, just from talking to a few other people, that AWD, not a lot of people are still confident to use it just yet. So, John and Chad, have you guys had what are your thoughts on Amazon's growing monopoly?
I mean, from my side, Amazon's success has been, they certainly don't have the best and most advanced shopping experience. Even their PPC is still 5-6 years behind where Google is, right? So their success has been in their ability to create distribution networks, Prime Day, shipping. You saw what they did in Australia. They're starting to go into Africa. They just absolutely are brilliant at creating the distribution system. So if they're starting to layer that up and saying, hey, we can create AWD and GL and everything else there, they certainly are going to be successful with that. And it's just a matter of, how that fits in, how you or other services around that fit into it. But that's their brilliance, right?
Certainly is. Chad?
My take is that Amazon, the backbone is just unparalleled. So, if I ask my wife, does she love Amazon? Or if I ask 100 people in Florida, do you love Amazon? 99, maybe all of them are going to probably raise their hand and be like, yes. 4-hour shipping, hell yeah, all day long. So in terms of like ecosystem infrastructure, like Amazon's just not going away. And history tends to repeat itself. You look historically, like there was Jet.com, they bought their way to revenue. There was Wish, right? Wish crashed. And so just I think in general, Prime, A to Z guarantees, like essentially the way that Amazon delights customers is amazing. The way that it delights sellers is horrible. And so I don't think any seller is thrilled with Amazon. You asked 100 sellers, do you like Amazon? 99 of them are going to be like, screw them.
For the last
Now,
15 years.
Exactly. But I think the other thing that's like super fascinating is like if you think about just Amazon in general, it's the last thing I want to point on this is like just my business in general. Let's just use my filter business. 50% of my orders are absolutely free. From discovery all the way to this doorstep is a flawless execution, but 50% of my traffic doesn't cost me a thing. It's organic. Tell me another platform that will drive the amount of revenue that you're going to get on Amazon for free. And I just don't think that you can match it anywhere else. So do I think TikTok is growing? Yeah. Do I think TikTok's going to probably diminish now that Congress, I think, is forcing a sale? Probably. I think there's a lot of hype around it. And certainly in this space, specifically in e-commerce, when there's a lot of hype, you kind of have to follow the money. And I maintain and yield my time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see maybe if you fast forward to like 2030, how this platform's going to look and how it's just moving so quickly and changing so quickly every single year. Okay, guys, so I know we've got some offers before we wrap, and I would love Chad to start to share for anyone that's listening what your special offer is for us from Prophecy.
Yeah. So Prophecy, what do? We do Uber style price changes. So we change pricing based on demand and based on your strategy of what do you want to accomplish. If you want to make more revenue, great. We have a strategy around pricing around that. If you want to make more profit without hurting your ranking position, we do that as well. We also harmonize it with advertising. So doing price and ads together. So my offer today is, of course, our software, by the way, pays for itself, meaning we promise a 3x ROI or your money back. So whatever you put into this machine will guarantee 3x or your money back. We're giving a special offer, which is just 50% off. 50% off Prophecy for all new customers for 1 year. All you need to do is email me, chad@prophecy.com. That's my personal email. It's chad, CHAD, at prophecy, PROFASEE.com. Feel free to email me. If you even want to just talk shop and you're not interested in making more money, of course, I don't know why you wouldn't, but feel free to email me. Of course, I think we also put into the chat the offer for those that are tuning in.
Yeah, so I've just popped in your email address, Chad, so they can email you and get a hold of that special offer. Yeah, and also once we put the recording up, I'll put the link in as well for you guys to access that amazing discount. John, do you have an offer for the guys?
Yeah, I do. I'll help you out, Amanda. I'll just paste it in here myself.
Thanks, Kelly. I was just about to do that.
Yeah, I actually added an additional there, but you know, from Zanguru's perspective, obviously we have a full suite of about 18 tools that you can access. You know, we're very known for our SEO piece, which I talked about earlier, and I think we have a lot of distinctive advantages and firsts in the industry. You know, if you do sign up, you do get a 7-day free trial. So even if you just want to go in there and literally check how your listing compares to any other of your main competitors and who's got the better listing from an algorithmic perspective, you can do that in a few minutes. You know, we will give you 20% off with this exclusive offer. So the second link there, you can absolutely get 20% off, and you can just click on that, sign up, and after the trial, it'll be 20% off. The other link, which is the free growth audit, you know, for qualifying brands, and we're selective in the ones that we take on, but you know, anyone generally doing about 2 million plus on Amazon, we can actually do an organic growth audit for you, where you'll just, you know, fill out the questionnaire. We'll get our team onto that, and we'll analyze your portfolio and start to identify pretty big low-hanging fruit opportunities for what can be improved from an organic perspective in terms of getting a lot of your keywords and sales into the you know, into the buyer zone, and then what's the actual value of that, and we also do a pretty deep pricing analysis as part of that as well. So we'll give away 10 of those for free on this. So the first 10 there that click on that and qualify, we'll get our team onto that. You'll get a free growth audit, and we'll give you value there and see if you're a good fit for not only our technology but our services part of that as well. So those are 2 offers for everyone here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. That sounds incredible. And Yulia, do you have a special offer for the guys listening as well?
I can review your supply chain. So if you have any questions in regards to sourcing and all of those things, you know, where to better manufacture your product, if in China, if you can get a better price on your product, what you can optimize in your supply chain. My goal is always to make money in sourcing without you spending any additional money. So if you have questions in regards to the supply chain and all of those things, yeah, just get in touch with me. I also drop my LinkedIn and my email, so you guys can, you know, we can chat and see if I can help. You know, if I can help some people make more money and they spend it on good things, why not?
Yeah, this is so awesome. I mean, I just love the fact that everyone here has got something they can offer everybody to help them save money and make more profit on Amazon. I mean, do we have you have a special offer for the guys as well today?
Yeah, so basically I'm the same like scale with Yuria, just only on supply chain and freight forwarding basically. So with the new inbound placement fee and everything's going on, so we built like a system for logistics audit, where we basically go in depth into your operation, how you systemize everything, and try to optimize your shipping costs and supply chain in general. So I put this in the chat as well. So this is my calendar, and this is our page where everyone can join, basically do the process, set the appointment with me or somebody from Proboxx team, and go to a full depth logistics audit. Hopefully we'll be able to optimize your shipping cost.
Yeah, awesome. So there you have it, guys. Tap into all of these amazing services and people, because we're all here to help and help you save money and make profit and kick ass on Amazon in 2024 and beyond. Thank you so much for you guys, for your time and for joining and sharing your invaluable insights. It's been really awesome. I wish we could keep talking, but really this is, hopefully giving people enough to get them thinking on how to really.
Wait, one more thing for the people. Stay positive. Sometimes it might feel like, why the hell did I do this? What is wrong with me? I should have never done this. Stay positive. Find some community. Find people who might be in the same situation. Because Amazon, it's not only about numbers and I need to do this and SOPs and everything. It's about community, and it's also about your psychological state. So you gotta be okay. So you gotta fill up the cup from which you pour, right? So you gotta be okay mentally as well in order for your business to be even more successful. So when you're down or anything like this, Amazon community is huge all over the place. Don't be afraid to use it, because a lot of people are in the same situation and we can only help each other.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Good point. So guys, jump on those links, grab them now. They're in the chat before we close the meeting. And if you do miss them, don't worry. We're going to pop the recording up on YouTube, which will be available early next week. And you can also grab the links there as well. Thanks everybody for joining. It's been a pleasure. Have an awesome day, night, evening, wherever you are.
Good night, good morning,
Yeah.
good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Now I want to watch the Truman Show. Damn it.
Bye guys.
Bye, thank you.